Our first guest tonight knows all about opening weekend and making adjustments. He quarterbacked the Cougars in 1999 and 2000, leading BYU to that fabulous 12-0 start. But he did it differently than his predecessors. Brandon Doman ran the option, meaning he threw for touchdowns, he ran for touchdowns, and he handed off to Luke Staley for a lot more touchdowns. It's a pleasure to welcome this former starter, former quarterbacks coach, former offensive coordinator at BYU, Brandon Doman. Brandon, welcome to the Wise Guys. Great to have you with us.
Hey, guys. My pleasure being with you. Thanks for inviting me to come.
Hey, let's jump right into it. What are your 3 keys for Jaron Hall on Saturday?
Man, Dave's just getting right at
Let's
it,
just
Brandon.
get at it.
No chance to settle it. It's like, give it to us. Give us 3 things that Jaron has to do.
Well, there's so many things. I mean, to narrow it down to 3, but I've thought about that. And I think for a veteran quarterback now that's been at it for a long time, I mean, this is a guy that's watched Zach Wilson play. He's had a full season of playing time. He's now coming into, this year. I think, number one, I'd like to see him start off with a game that's really, really clean, no turnovers. I think we should see a quarterback that's got a high percentage of completions, particularly as it relates to moving the chain. So I always said to the quarterbacks, especially guys that were veterans, completions equal first downs, which equal touchdowns. So I'd like to see a high rate of conversion on third down and then red zone scoring. The best quarterbacks that I know or that I've been around convert on third down and they score in the red zone. And this BYU offense is going to have to do that this season. And I think if he can start off quick by keeping the ball out of the defensive hands, and then BYU's done a great job. Aaron Rodgers has done a phenomenal job of that. So no turnovers, convert third downs and score in the red zone. If they can start off that way, I think we're going to have a great season.
Question about scoring in the red zone, Brandon. There's a big difference between teams that go down and when they get in the red zone have a high percentage of the scores being touchdowns and not settling for field goals. It seems like there's some teams, and some of the BYUs even have in the past, that seem to be able to move the ball. They get down inside that 20, they stall out, and they kick field goals. Is that on the quarterback to make sure that those conversions are touchdowns and not field goals?
100%. And the play caller. I think the play caller has a significant impact on that. The quarterback's ability to navigate in that critical area. But some quarterbacks just have a knack and kind of they taste blood when they get down there and they score. And I would like to see Jaron in this season be completely dissatisfied with anything but a touchdown. Now, granted, field goals will be great, but I think that this is a type of guy, because of the way he can run the football, as much experience as he's had. He's got big, tall, physical receivers and good tight ends, a powerful run game with these linemen. They need to score touchdowns in the red zone this year in order to be the team they're capable of being.
And we were talking about, I don't know if you caught the end of that conversation we were having as you were coming on, Brandon, but the fact that this D coordinator is brand new this year. So they have a plan for what they think he's going to do. He's been a D coordinator like at 6 different places, so they probably have a pretty good idea. But Jaron told us earlier this week they went into that Arizona game last year, and Michigan's D coordinator was now Arizona's D coordinator, and he didn't run anything even resembling what he ran at Michigan. And Jaron said it took us like about a quarter to figure out how to go against that. Are they better equipped this year if South Florida comes with something completely different than they were last year, do you think?
Yeah, because he's seen how many games as a starter now. I can't remember what it is, but we're in the teens, And I would have given anything in the world to have gone into a year like this, having had that many starts. Have this kind of experience behind you. You've seen a lot of live bullets, and if the quarterback's seen it, it should slow the game down for everybody.
Let's go to August 25th, 2001, which was the first and only season opener that you started at BYU and started a tremendous season that year. What did you do to calm your nerves before you took the field for your first season opener?
Nothing. I was bursting at the seams. So I was trying to think of anything I could possibly do, but that's just my personality. I couldn't wait to get out there. To the coach's credit, when I played, they knew that they had to do something early on in the game to shake some of that. So get me into a quick early speed option or a quarterback draw or some kind of a rollout where I could run, and rather than have me drop back and stand in the pocket and throw the football. I was not effective doing that until I had an opportunity to, sink my teeth into playing a football game. And
so is it true that it takes a hit to get going? A quarterback wants to get hit?
It either took a hit or it took me, rolling out into the pocket and being on the run and shake some of that out. But to have me just drop back and try and throw something straight, that wasn't going to happen for a little bit. So, for me, it was, get me out and get me into the groove a little bit and know what the first 5 plays needed to be. And and Gary Croton did a phenomenal job of that. He knew exactly the first 5 or 10 plays. How do we get Brandon going? Not for me, when I was coaching, I kid you not, we were looking at the quarterback thinking, all right, what gets this guy going? How do we get this guy into a groove, and how do we start him fast?
Yeah.
And so much of the first 5 plays had to do with getting that guy going.
Well, you threw for 3 touchdowns and ran for another one, and Luke Staley had 3 touchdowns, just scored 70 points. So, whatever it was worked out.
Something got you going. When you mentioned you wanted to maybe run it downfield or get outside and be in a rollout situation to kind of get you going, and so you could get a feel for the game. Did Gary or any of that staff at that time, did they ever talk to you about, Brandon, you need to get down or you need to get out of bounds? You can't run and lower your shoulder. We need you out there. Were those discussions happening with you? Because I don't remember you getting down or getting out of bounds very much, frankly, Brandon. You just kind of ran into people.
I know. I learned the hard way. The third game of the season that year, I actually separated my throwing shoulder against, I think we were playing Utah State.
I thought it was UNLV down in Vegas.
That was the second time.
Okay, second time.
Oh,
so,
man.
Yeah, I did it twice in the same season. And but the one that called me on the phone was Steve Young. He called me and says, "Hey, bud, I learned the hard way. Can I help you not learn the hard way?" And I didn't learn from what he was trying to tell me, but he did. He called me on the phone and he said, "Hey, look, I know you're hurt and you're a dummy. Don't be a dummy anymore and learn how to protect yourself a little bit."
How do you do that? Because Jaron has very similar skills to you with his ability to scramble and run and throw. How can you be elusive and mobile and at the same time stay healthy? It almost seems like it's one or the other.
Well, college and NFL football have migrated in that direction. And so quarterbacks have to really work out and strengthen their shoulders and strengthen their joints. And, when Blaine played, I don't think the quarterbacks lifted weights. Now, Blaine does now. But
Wait, no, what are you talking about?
Oh, he does now.
I used to lift
That's
with
for
the
sure.
D-line. Jimmy Mack had the triceps of Thor. Now, Robbie, let's not.
Yeah, there you go.
Let's not talk about. Let's not even talk about that, Brandon, because that's not.
I was doing cleans one day in the weight room, and my quarterback coach Robbie came running. He's like, "What are you doing?
Yeah.
Get off that platform." But
Brandon was a lifter. I got to say, he was a lifter, but Robbie didn't have anything to do with that.
No,
nonsense.
he had nothing to do with that.
So I'm teasing a little bit, but I do think the quarterbacks have to get into great shape. They have to get strong, and they're going to take some hits because of the way the offensive schemes are today. But I also would say that Coach Roderick has done a good job with Jaron. As I watch him, he does a good job of getting down and protecting himself and not taking unnecessary hits. So I think Jaron's got experience that way, and I think it takes time. You have to give him live reps in that setting and practices and scrimmages and just teach him how to get down and get out of the way.
You had Luke Staley in the backfield with you, which was pretty amazing. And then guys like Reno Mahe. I just saw Reno out at the game that you and I, out at that Sky Ridge game. It's fun to have Reno out there coaching your boy out there and that group together. Yeah. But Reno catching passes downfield. Jaron's got Chris Brooks running the ball now, the transfer from Cal. He's got Puka Nacua, Gunnar Romney, Keanu Hill, Isaac Rex downfield. What do you think about these weapons that he has around him right now? You had some pretty good weapons, but man, it seems like he's got even more of them.
Aside from the guys I played with,
yeah,
this is as good as I've ever seen. They're so good. I mean, they're so talented. They're tall. They're fast. They're ball catchers, and the list goes on and on. You didn't even name all of them. And there are more guys that you didn't even list. And so, I think for Jaron, and I learned this pretty quick with Luke Staley and Reno and Doug Jolly, and some of the guys that we had, and let them play, put the ball in their hands and let them go. And we ran the option, but I knew that the option was only a decoy to get Luke the ball. If I could get the guy to bite on me and pitch it to Luke, we were way better off than me running the football. So Jaron just needs to know that there's a time and a place for him to do what he needs to do. But if he'll just get the ball in these guys' hands, put the ball in a catchable place, don't overthrow these guys. They're big, tall receivers. Put the ball in an area where they can go make plays on the football and let them play. And chances are, it's not a 50-50. I think chances are these guys are coming down with it. It's more like a 70-30 shot with these big bodies.
It's interesting. Brandon says, aside when he played, but you think about the guys that Brandon played with. So Luke Staley, if he doesn't get hurt, is probably a Pro Bowl level running back. Brandon was an NFL quarterback. Yep. Reno Mahe was a NFL running back and kick return guy that was really, really good in the NFL. And Doug Jolly was a high-level tight end with the Raiders in the National Football League. So all the skill guys on Brandon's team were NFL guys.
That's how you get to 12-0.
All of those skill
10.
guys, right?
No, it's right. It's right. And we had Spencer Need and Gabe Reed were the backup tight ends who both played a handful of years in the NFL. So, and the offensive linemen played. We were packed. And Ryan Denny and Brett Kiesel were on defense. We had a really good football team. So if you want to win, then recruiting is the lifeblood of your success without question.
So you're saying you need players. You got to have players.
You got to have guys.
And when I look back, and it's interesting we talk about that because I look back and I think about Brandon's team. And injuries down the stretch to Brandon and to Luke limited us a little bit that year. But all these guys we're talking about, NFL guys on both sides of the ball. Mm-hmm. So it's not surprising that team started out 12-0 before the injuries took their toll, and that they were ranked as high as they were. And now we fast forward to this year, and I'm looking around the field and I'm going, that's an NFL guy. There's 2 NFL offensive linemen. Brooks could be an NFL guy. Jaron can be an NFL quarterback. Pook is an NFL wide receiver. I kind of feel like, Brandon, since your time, this is a team that maybe from a talent perspective has the same number of guys. And does that translate to wins for this team?
We had 8 draft picks that played. Excuse me. We had six draft picks that came out that year, and then a couple underclassmen that were drafted the next year. So, if you got 8 NFL guys on the grass at one time, which is what is the case for these SEC teams. I mean, the Big 12 teams that they're going to be playing, they have 8 guys on the grass that are going to be NFL draft picks. So we can have that. We didn't name one guy that didn't come out of the grass, out of the Midwest. We didn't name one name that BYU didn't have a shot at getting in recruiting right out of the chute. So BYU can recruit those guys, and they're BYU guys anyways, and they're NFL guys. And we have to land those guys in recruiting in order to succeed and develop them into NFL type athletes. And right now, I think you're right. I think they're there on the offensive line, there's some linebackers, and the list goes on and on. I think you're right.
Former BYU quarterback and offensive coordinator Brandon Doman's on the Wise Guys tonight. You went 14-2 as a starter, including the last 2 games of Lavelle Edwards' career, one at home against New Mexico and the following week up at Utah. So how cool was it to be the quarterback that got to send Lavelle out with 2 emotional wins?
Unbelievable. I've told anybody that I know that watch those games that I'm not naive enough to believe that it wasn't a significant blessing and impact. And it has had a massive impact on my life. It's changed the course of so many things. To get to be the quarterback at BYU, 1, is significant opportunity. 2, to get to play for Lavelle in his last 2 games as a starter was unbelievable. And then 3, to be able to come from behind in that setting up in Salt Lake against Utah and have a come from behind win in his last game, frankly, has had a major impact on my life. And it kind of yoked me to Coach Edwards in a unique way. And he was a dear friend for many years afterwards. And I'll be able to take that with me throughout the rest of my life. Some of those intimate moments of what took place at the very end of that game and in the locker room, and just knowing that I got to be a part of that was phenomenal.
I want to know what the conversation was like, if there was any, on that in the huddle on that last drive, on that game-winning drive? What was that? What was the mentality? What was being said? Who was speaking up? Take us through that.
Yeah. Well, you, as you know, playing quarterback, and if you walk into the huddle and your offensive linemen are locked and loaded, particularly your center. I had a guy named Jason Sukanik that played center, and he wasn't the tallest, he wasn't the strongest, he wasn't the biggest, but he was a phenomenal leader. and he and I were able to see eye to eye in what we were doing out there. When I came out in the huddle, and he was sitting in there, he was communicating and I was communicating, and the message was, there's no way in a million years we're not winning this game. And even when it was 4th and 13 and I got in the huddle, there wasn't one guy in that huddle that didn't think that something was going to happen. And that's a pretty calming reality. But if you get in the huddle and guys are freaking out, losing their cool, or looking nervous, that was not the case in that huddle. And I think a lot of it had to do with what we had earned together, and we had earned the right to get in that huddle together and feel confident. And it just was, there's no way this ain't going to happen, and this is what we owe to Coach Edwards right now. We're going to make it happen.
So look, you take a couple of bombs to Pittman, which were crazy.
Yeah, unbelievable.
And now you're at the 3-yard line or so, and you run to your right, and you're going to keep it, and you fight through a couple of guys, and you cross that goal line with the football, and the place erupts because there's a lot of BYU fans there. What's the first thought that comes to your mind? That you did it, or what?
Well, the first thought was just unbelievable emotion and gratitude for that moment. I remember just running straight to the BYU fans, because in that corner of the end zone, and I don't know if it is the case today, but it was always, as I grew up as a kid and they played at BYU, in the southwest corner of the Rice-Eccles Stadium where they put the BYU fans. And I just got up off the ground. I ran right to them and felt like I needed to celebrate with the fans, because they didn't give up. And I just felt like I was one of them. Felt like I was one of the BYU fans living a dream. And and there we were, I'm raising my hands, and there the fans are, and I just felt like I was in a fairy tale and wanted to celebrate with them. And then my teammates came. Funny story that happened is I scored that touchdown and I ran to the fans. A fan jumped out of the bleachers, and you guys may remember. In that
I remember
stadium,
this.
There was like a 12-foot drop off from the concrete wall down to the ground. A fan jumps off and met me in the end zone, and we headbutted. And it was the fan, no helmet, me helmet, and it was my older brother Bryce. My older brother Bryce, who played at BYU, he jumped out of the bleachers and met me, and they handcuffed him. I think, walked him right out of the stadium. But
he left in handcuffs and with a concussion.
Yeah, he was out. He was out of the stadium.
That's
the game
awesome.
At that point, we had won the game. It was pretty surreal moment.
You had two dramatic wins over Utah. The finish in Salt Lake City in 2000 with Lavelle, and in 2001, come from behind victory. You pitch it to Luke on an option. It wasn't an option. Yeah, it was an option.
Yeah.
And then he literally just outruns everybody down the sidelines, 30 yards for a score, with 1:16 to play in that game. The stadium went nuts because that was at Lavelle Edwards. Is one of those more meaningful than the other to you? Those two wins over Utah?
Oh, Lavelle's last game was by far the most meaningful. Not that 2001 game wasn't remarkable. I've never been in a stadium like that in my life. I've never been in a moment where the BYU fans had erupted like that. That was quite a spectacular moment. But we got to carry Lavelle on our shoulders off the field in his last season. He'd been the coach for almost 30 seasons. He had not had a losing season in 28 straight years. And we were 5-6 going into that game, and we ended 6-6. Was not a losing season. We got to carry him off, and being in that environment with him at that time, for sure the most memorable football moment of my life.
What qualifies a quarterback to be the team leader? What does he have to do to win the locker room?
I think Vince Lombardi said it best, and I've hung on this quote forever. But leadership rests not only upon the ability to lead or the capacity to lead. Leadership requires truth in the purpose and willpower in your character. And I've seen quarterbacks that had all the ability in the world, all the capacity. Once you're a quarterback, you're instantly given the capacity to be the leader because you're the quarterback, but it doesn't mean that you're going to lead. So truth in your purpose means it's not all about you. We're not doing this for quarterback Joe. This isn't your team. This isn't all about you. And your purpose is pretty clear. It's truthful. It's you're there. You're on time. You're about your teammates. You're not isolating yourself all the time, and you truly are a guy that is that they can count on. That's honest in your purpose of what you're doing, and the willpower in your character. I think there's just an absolute grit in the best quarterbacks. There's this indomitable, unconquerable spirit about them. They're tenacious competitors. I think also willpower in your character is what are you doing when no one's watching? And some of the best quarterbacks, even Tom Brady to this day, who's my age. When no one's watching Tom, he's still working his tail off and preparing and doing all the little things to be great. And that's willpower in your character. And that's a hard thing to find, and the best quarterbacks have it.
Yeah, that's great. It's, our quarterback that we all know that probably was the best representative in the National Football League, Steve Young. He's a Hall of Famer, right? So I think we can easily say that. No argument there, right? I would watch Steve work in the seasons after he was already the MVP. He was still just like had this crazy desire that he had to be better than that he had to get better.
Yeah.
And he got better.
Yeah, and he kept getting better.
Yeah.
And until concussions took him out of the game. But and as you mentioned, Brandon, you see that out of Tom Brady even to this day out there. I heard a story about Johnny Unitas when he was like, 19 seasons in. He was coming out 2 hours before the game, and he was doing footwork drills. Johnny Unitas doing footwork drills, 19 years in the league, and that's what Brandon's talking about. Those guys that just get it and are great have this unwavering commitment to just getting better. Even when they've arrived, they never feel like they've arrived. So, yep. And that's and some of these great players that come out of high school, number one recruits and all of that, don't have that, and they don't succeed. And guys like Brandon Doman,
who had to wait too long to get the starting job.
People were saying, do you want to move to wide receiver? And Brandon's like, I'll play that for now, but I'm going to play quarterback, right, Brandon? Or early in your career, they were telling you, let's switch you over. How did you just keep coming back and saying, at some point, though, I'm going to play. I'll do what you want me to do, but at some point, I want a shot at quarterback. How did you keep the grind to keep doing that through all of that?
Oh, I think a lot of that has to do with being the youngest of four brothers and four boys in my family, an unbelievable dad, and that it instilled a work ethic in us. And I just knew that nothing was easy. I learned as a kid that preparation plus opportunity equaled success. It wasn't the other way around, that the opportunity shows up and then you start preparing for it. You had to always prepare for the opportunity, and then you were successful. And I learned as a young kid that if the preparation exceeded the opportunity, the success could be wild, beyond your wildest imagination. And I just knew that I needed to hang in there and trust in the preparation. And Lavelle, to his credit, he just kind of kept a hold of me. He didn't let me get too far away. And sometimes I was frustrated. There were times I wanted to transfer to Utah. And he just kind of kept a hold of me over here and didn't let me get too distant. And when the time came, he fulfilled on his end of making sure I was ready to go. And I'm grateful for that. But it truly was the opportunity arose because the two guys got hurt in front of me. It wasn't because I beat them out. They got hurt. And all of a sudden there was an opportunity to play that arose out of those instances. And fortunately I was ready to go.
Lavelle was a visionary man. Yeah. He needed someone to win his last two games.
That's right. And you know what? Right. To Brandon's point, I'll give him this because I watched him through all this time. I played with Brandon's older brothers and watched him in high school, is that preparation, if he had not prepared at that point, who knew those two guys are going to go down, right? But if he hadn't prepped and he wasn't ready to go, then he would not have taken advantage of that opportunity and then had those amazing games that we just talked about, but also an amazing last season where BYU was in the national spotlight all year long. Preparation led to that. Right on, Brandon, right?
Well, I remember going into Lavelle's office after my sophomore season. I had I had just gotten married, and I hadn't played, but I think it was nine. I think I had 9 catches as a receiver that year. I was done doing that, and I went in and I said, "Look, Coach, I appreciate everything. You've been phenomenal. I know I've been stubborn. I want to play." And so Barry Lamb has asked me to come play free safety. I'm all in. Let's do it. I'm gonna move to free safety. And he said, Matt Barry's going on a mission. We didn't think he was going to go on a mission. And I can't remember the other quarterback. There's another quarterback that transferred. And he said, we can't afford to have you go now. And I'm like, well, wait a minute. I do not want to be your third string quarterback again. I've done that for 2 years. And he said, no, I need you to stay. And I said, well, can I be in every meeting that Robbie Bosco's having with this guy and this guy? I'm tired of being outside the room, outside the door, sitting in the chair and not in those intimate meetings. Can I be in those meetings so that I'm getting better? Can I be on the grass learning what I need to learn? Can I have some reps in spring ball? Can I have some opportunity to progress as a player so I can get better? And that's why I said that Lavelle followed through with his end of the bargain. He said, yes, absolutely, you can. And they did. They let me participate in. But that was part of the preparation of, I already knew at that point that if they didn't allow that to happen, there's no way. I could do all that I wanted to do, but if I didn't have live bullets thrown at me in practices and scrimmages, it just wasn't going to happen. And they allowed it to happen. So when it was time to go play, I had some different preparation in that season.
See, but most people wouldn't go ask for that, because here's what happens, and people that don't follow it close enough to be at practice. The number 3 guy does a lot of the prep squad stuff. So he's not in every meeting that the 1 and 2, and they're giving 1 a lot of reps, especially if he's young, and 2's getting most, and 3 doesn't get reps because he's over running prep squad, and so you just kind of get ignored until you're the 2.
Yeah.
And so Brandon proactively went in and said, well, if I'll do what you want me to do, but I've got to have some of this prep. And they gave it to him, and the result is what the result was. That's an awesome story, Brandon. I appreciate you sharing that.
Couple more minutes with Brandon Doman, former BYU quarterback, on the Wise Guys tonight as the Cougars get ready for Saturday's season opener. Now, I want you to listen to a list of these terrific trios of quarterback, running back, and wide receiver from BYU's past. I wrote about it today in the Deseret News. You can read it at Deseret on Twitter or DeseretNews.com. So let us roll these trios out, and then I want to ask you about your trio and where
they ranked,
where you stack up.
He's got to rank himself. I love it.
So let's think about it. Quarterback, running back, receiver. You got Gary Scheide, Jeff Blank, and Jay Miller.
And then you got Jim McMahon, Scott Phillips, and Danny Plater.
And then there's Steve Young, Eddie Stinnett, and we threw Gordon Hudson in there because he played like a receiver and had 23 touchdowns.
23 tight ends for a tight end. So you got Robbie Bosco, Lake Hemuli, and Glenn Kozlowski.
Ty Detmer, Jamal Willis, Andy Boyce.
John Beck, Curtis Brown, Johnny Harleen. Some other tight ends on that one too. Yeah.
Max Hall, Harvey Unga, Austin Colley.
Taysom Hill, Jamal Williams, and Cody Hoffman.
Got some record setters in there with Hoffman and Williams. Zach Wilson, Tyler Algier, and Dax Milne.
All on squads right now.
Okay, so here's the question.
Brandon Doman, Luke Staley, and Reno Mahe. Where do they fit into that group?
That's questions for me?
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
We're like, I know where I'm putting you guys.
Think about it. But first of all, that's an amazing list of trios.
That's a crazy list.
There were some. You just named some studs. I had the opportunity to coach a few of them. Coaching Max Hall, Harvey Unga, and Austin Colley at the same time was about as fun as it could have gotten. They won more games in a 3-year span than anybody in BYU history.
Right.
So that's hard to say. Those guys. I mean, no one won more games than them. So they were really good. And then you think about Lake Hemuli, Glenn Kozlowski. Those 2 guys together, that was a fun group with Bosco. They won the national championship.
We didn't say this was going to be easy.
Yeah, it's not easy.
It's not an easy question.
But I would say, so now I'm going to, so that was the humble answer. And then the not humble answer is no one scored more points than Brandon Doman, Luke Staley, and
Yes.
Reno Mahe
That's
in a
right.
single season. We scored more points than any football team in the history of BYU football. So that was pretty fun to play with Luke Staley, who scored almost 30 touchdowns, and
Yeah.
Reno caught almost 100 passes, and we scored a ton of points that year. And it had a lot to do with Reno Mahe and Luke Staley.
Hey, someone had to get on the ball
Is Luke Staley the greatest running back to ever play at BYU?
Yes.
when healthy.
Yeah, I agree with you.
I've never seen anybody like him at BYU, and I've seen every last one of them. So either as a little kid or as a grown man, as a coach, I've seen every last one of them. There was nobody like that guy.
Hey, in Reno, we were doing a game. We had a telestrator, where you can draw out the play, and you threw Reno a ball down like on the 10-yard line on just a little hitch screen, or a little Z screen, where he takes 2 step forwards and then 3 back, and you just throw it out there, and then the tackle goes out and blocks. I start telestrating the play, and I'm like, look how many guys Reno made miss in 10 yards when he scored a touchdown.
I know.
And I counted them up, and I'm like, that's 8 guys. And I go, whoa, wait a minute. Number 8 was the first guy that missed him. So he made one guy miss him twice in the course of scoring from the 10-yard line.
Right.
His unbelievable ability to make people miss and change directions was Reno. I'm putting you guys right up there. You know what? I didn't even think about the fact that Max and Harvey and Austin won more games, because isn't that the most important thing? So maybe we give them number 1. You guys scored more points than anybody. Maybe we give you guys number 2. How does that sound? Is that fair?
I'll take it.
All right.
You can
I'll take it.
You can take the call from McMahon, Young, Bosco, and Detmer, and throw in Beck. But what about Hall, Brooks, and Nakua? What's their potential for getting into this elite group of trifectas?
Yeah, this year.
Well, I think it's up to Brooks. I think it's entirely up to him. I think Hall can do it, and there's no doubt Nakua can do it. So if Brooks has the ability to do it, there's no doubt that they could be a heck of a trio.
And they've got the most massive athletic offensive line that BYU has ever had lining up in front of them this year. We don't know if they're going to be the best, but they're going to be the biggest and strongest group that's ever been in front of a BYU running back or quarterback this year. They're crazy. I can't even believe how big and strong these guys are.
I haven't seen a line like it either. I've stood out there in the grass by them, and I've seen some big human beings. But the collective group, I've never seen a collective group like this. It's pretty spectacular.
Let's finish with 5 questions, rapid fire. Are you ready?
And we do this every week, so you don't have to think much about it. You just throw it out there. This is how we get the real Brandon Doman. So, although I think I already know the guy. So, favorite sports movie?
Hoosiers.
Nice. That's right up there with Marie Osmond.
That's the same as Marie Osmond. Marie said
It's a
Hoosiers when
classic.
she came on.
You can't beat that one. Favorite band or singer?
Oh, gosh. I would probably say James Taylor.
Well, going old school.
Man, I like that.
Old school. All right.
Okay, favorite breakfast cereal?
O's.
O's?
That's like the 3rd vote for O's this season.
Yeah, I've never even had O's. Maybe I'm missing something here.
Yeah, you
I
got
don't even
to
know. You get those at regular stores,
Are they
O's?
sugar cereals? Do they have like sugar on them?
Oh, sure. Oh, yeah. They got
Okay.
sugar. They fake you out. They make you feel like you're, eating the natural stuff.
Because for
It's
some
not.
reason I thought that was healthy, and I don't want to have anything to do with
If I
healthy
tell my wife
breakfast
to pick
cereal.
up some O's, she'll go, hey, you've turned a corner.
All right.
Yep.
Favorite your favorite touchdown.
Now
So here you have 35 touchdown passes, 11 touchdown runs in 31 games. Do you have a favorite touchdown? It can be a run or a throw. What's your favorite?
Oh, my favorite touchdown was the last touchdown in Lavelle's game where I was laying over that end zone. I could see the referee holding his hands up. By far my favorite touchdown.
We're going to agree. That's our favorite of
That's a
yours as well.
classic. That's a
our
classic.
favorite of yours as well.
All right, last question. What's more exhausting, quarterbacking at BYU and the 49ers or being a YSA stake president in the Alpine, Utah area?
I'm
What
in my
is
office
more
right now.
exhausting?
Yeah, I'm in my YSA office right now. This is by far the most exhausting opportunity I've had by far. In fact, I'm finished with you in 5 minutes. I got to throw my
Suit
I got
on.
my suit on. I got to go throw my suit on and get to
Got to look official.
Get your uniform on is what it is.
get,
Hey,
get to.
But
get
is
to the interview.
there anything better? I just got released after spending almost 4 years up on campus at BYU in a bishopric up there, and I loved it. Working with the young single adults, is there anything better than doing that, Brandon?
No, I'm the stake president of what they call the Alpine Utah YSA stake, which is Alpine, Highland, Cedar Hills, Pleasant Grove, and Linden. And there's about 9,000 young single adults that live within the boundary of this stake, and they're phenomenal. And I consider it a gift that I got to do this. It's been a remarkable opportunity, and I pinch myself times. It's been a lot, but what a cool calling.
Hey, give us a score for Saturday.
Yeah, what's your prediction?
I think BYU is going to score 31 points. I think South Florida is going to score 21 points.
That's very close to my prediction 21. On AFR
31,
tonight. You didn't see AFR tonight and then just say my prediction on our show this evening. This is genuine Doman right here.
Brandon, don't go with Dave ever because his record is abysmal. But
it's phenomenal. That's what it is.
I had 42. I had 42-21. I had him scored a little bit.
Okay. Thank you so much for joining us, and we hope you'll come back and join us again down the road. We know you're busy tonight, and it's opening week, so we had to have Brandon Doman on the show.
And one last thing as you're going out. Is your son back healthy? Is he going to be in the lineup this week for Skyridge?
He's back. He'll be playing corner opposite Smith Snowden. So all you BYU fans out there, we need to get Smith Snowden to be a Cougar. But yeah, he's finally back at it. We'll play this week.
We're gonna have Will Snowden on the show next week, so we'll ask him your question.
So we got the Snowden Doman combo, former BYU. The next generation starting at those corners for Skyridge, who's a phenomenal football team this year. So good luck to him, Brandon, and we'll catch up with you. We're so grateful for you coming on. We appreciate it.
Thanks, guys. Take care.
You bet. Hey, and we got him out at 7:00 as promised. Thank you. Thank you, Coach.